y'all, Stacy here. I am so excited to share what I added to my very first round robin box. Before we get into it, as a quick reminder, I do use mostly 25 watt and up Scentsy warmers as I am a Scentsy consultant. Those warmers are typically on for 15 hours a day. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that we can stay in touch. Now, this is part 2 of the series. Hopefully you've already watched part 1, which is me going through my very first round robin box and making my selections of things that I wanted to keep, as well as looking at all of the things that I decided to put back in the box for someone else to have the opportunity to try in their home. Now, today what I'm going to be doing is going through the scents that I had pulled that I want to add into the box. Now, I will tell you, after looking through the box, my selections did change, and I'm also really struggling to fit everything in the box. So I'm going to be doing some brainstorming as we go through these. Now, there is a lot of bakery in the box, so I almost didn't include this one. This is, if you watch my empties, you know, it's one of my very favorite bakery bars, and it's an LTO that's no longer available from Scentsy. So it could be hard for people without a club to access. And this is king cake. So I really enjoy this. I know a couple of people that this is their heartbreak because they either didn't snag it when it was first available in the LTO and they got it in clearance, or for some folks, they didn't like it as much in its first few weeks, and then they decided they loved it a little bit too late. The second and final Scentsy bar that I am putting in is Black Raspberry Frosting. This was a limited time offer as well, a part of the Black Raspberry Vanilla Inspirations collection. I don't think it was my favorite out of that collection. I like Black Raspberry Woods and Black Raspberry Linen a little better, but I don't have either of those. And amongst folks who really like frosting bakery scents, this was incredibly popular. It's no longer available. I know a couple of folks it's a heartbreak for, so I'm going to pop that one in the box as well. Now, I did also really go through, after seeing the condition of some of the souffles and shapes that were chopped in the box, and look specifically for clamshells or kind of hard body things that I could put in the box just for shipment purposes. And the first one that I selected here is from L3 Waxy Wonders. This is Athena's Owl, which is Berry Bellini Crunch Crisp. And I wanted to include this one, number one, because it's in a clamshell. And number two, because it's one of those fragrances that I avoided for a while, then I put in and it completely transformed on warm and I really enjoyed. It also has a fizzy pop note, which I think is not represented yet in the bundle. Now, this is Black Tie Affair from Zape, and it's also in a clamshell, so that is one of the big reasons that I chose this. It's also an eggnog scent, which I don't really recall seeing any eggnog fragrances kind of in the bundle that we have in the box. So I looked through and I wanted to include one. That is an elevated scent. I do think the eggnog takes a back seat. It's amaretto spiced, so you do have to like amaretto, but it's a good one. Hopefully another good traveling clam. This is from Second and Spruce, and it is Grape Gumball Kool-Aid. I do really enjoy grape scents. This is a very playful fragrance, and it's not necessarily a space that I see a lot of folks reviewing Second and Spruce wax from, so I decided to include this one. I was a little bit hesitant to do it because this is my last clam of it. I had a half clam from a friend before, and I finished that, but I'm really excited for somebody to give this a try and maybe kind of branch out into some different scent notes with Second and Spruce if they haven't experienced them yet. This is my first Southbound, and I don't recall seeing any Southbound in this particular box, so I'm going to be adding a few things from Southbound, and this is perfectly timed. This is Tricky Treats. It's a mix of pumpkin and berries that's very unique to me. It also has, I believe, a little bit of cinnamon. That cinnamon takes a very back seat with some vanilla in it. I feel like this is the perfect time of year for it if you're a seasonal melter, so that one is going in the box. This next one I kind of can't believe I'm putting in, at least in this form, but this is I'll Be There For You. This is an ice cream and orange sherbet fruity, yummy, kind of, it does lean summer, but it is a fruitier kind of a sherbet scent from Second and Spruce. And I originally was going to share one of my cake bites. I've already melted a cake bite from this, but after seeing the condition of like chopped wax and shapes in the box, I decided the 10 would be safer. So I'm going to go ahead and send the mini loaf, and hopefully people will get an opportunity to try the fruitier side of Second and Spruce. This one I knew I wanted to add because I love it. This is Fire Mario in the Haunted Library. This is from the most recent Mario pre-order, and if you watched my Rose Girls haul, you know this is one of my top 4 scents. I really enjoyed this. The secondary reason that I wanted to add this is Rose Girls Sticks and Stones is also in a half muffin in the box, and that's not my favorite presentation of Rose Girls leather, so I kind of wanted to add this one as a counterpoint, like here's another way that leather can go from Rose Girls. Now, also from Rose Girls here, I have my own little muffin that I'm super excited to be sharing. This is Carbs with Cool Friends, and it's just a staple for me around this time of year. I really do enjoy it. It's a great fragrance. It includes some of my favorite scent notes like Monster Cookie and Pumpkin Sugar Donuts and Vanilla Noel. It's got a little bit of everything in there, even bread and marshmallow smoothie. So this is just, again, it's a year-round kind of scent for me, but this time of year it feels super appropriate and fun to pull out of a box. So I think it looks cute in that little muffin presentation as well. And I do think muffins are traveling well in the box. Now, there is not much salty sea air or kind of beachy aromatic notes that I saw in the box. So that is why I selected this Lavender and Speckles Bonfire by the Sea to add to the box. I do think she has a lovely salty sea air. It's not my very favorite. This one, though, is very unique in that it has those beautiful back notes of cedar. It's a powerhouse performer amongst my shapes that I have from Lavender and Speckles. So I think it might be a good presentation to someone if they have yet to try Lavender and Speckles, or maybe it's somebody's favorite and they'll be like, ooh, I get 2 more of that, which I love and adore. Now, with that in mind, also, this is from Teddy Bees and its Mistress of Evil. I just finished a complete souffle of this, and I just chopped this souffle up because I was not done melting it. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's a sandalwood fragrance that it does list with gentle notes of smoke in here. I don't pick up any smoke. It has this creamy presentation because of the creme de bum bum. And then you also have the added notes from the Vanilla Absolute that just make this a very elegant fragrance, I think. And I didn't see anything or smell anything that kind of fit in this niche. So I was excited to add this one. And next up, we have another one that this is a change for me from what I was going to put in from Knoll's Farm Scents, but there's already a mini loaf in there of Treats by the Fire. So I think that's a good representation of Knoll's Farm Scents Bakery. And then there's also quite a few bakery leaning samples from Knoll's Farm Scents. And this is Love Spell, which is a perfumier blend, but it also, I think, is really representative of how Knoll's Farm Scents works with kind of fruitier notes inside of these more aromatic blends, which I really kind of enjoy to see. And I think it's always fun to have a variety of styles represented from a vendor, and I'm excited for folks to get to smell the maybe perfumier side of Knoll's Farm Scent. This may seem super silly, but this is Speckles' birthday cake from Lavender and Speckles, and yes, it's already in the box in a souffle as an olive oil blend, but this is the Parasoy Shapes, and I prefer this scent in the Parasoy Shapes. I do know lots of folks love the olive oil blend, but I thought it would be nice if somebody is exploring Lavender and Speckles to have kind of a one-to-one comparison so that they can know which they prefer, the olive oil or the Parasoy Shapes. This is about a quarter of a loaf that I have chopped from Teddy B's The Trifecta. I am probably the most worried about this given kind of the condition of some of the other chopped souffles, but I really do want to share this because it's delicious. And it was available only in loaves in the last pre-order, and I have had 2 loaves of this. This is the end of my second loaf. The first loaf I got direct from the vendor. The second loaf I got in a D-stash. It's a really beautiful performer to me. It does have creme de boom boom in it amongst a great many other things, but it's primarily a strawberry pound cake blend that I really enjoy, and it performs well for me. So I'm excited for other people who maybe couldn't get a loaf to get a try of the trifecta. I am so excited to be including a Sassy Girl Aroma brittle. I knew that I wanted to include a whole brittle from Sassy Girl Aroma. I just didn't know which scent I wanted to include. And when I looked through the box, I didn't see any like lemonade fragrances represented. And this is a beautiful one. It's a strong performer. I usually only need 2 to 4 cubes depending on the space. Well, they're not cubes, but little brittle snaps. It's such a beautiful fragrance, and I can't wait for Sassy Girl Aroma to hopefully reopen. I think sometime early next year. I, like so many others, have been stalking the Facebook group to see when they're reopening. Now, next I have this Fall Magic, also from Southbound, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it in the box. I really wanted to share this because it's really more like a earthier kind of leaves scent. I don't think it lists leaves in the notes, but it's totally what I get. You can see the shapes from Southbound are one of my favorites. Some of the shapes are flat like this, and others are kind of three-dimensional like that pumpkin. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take like 6 or so shapes that are flat, like these little pumpkins, and I think there are some leaves as well, and try and fit them in a bakery bag that I have, just to kind of sneak in a kind of an earthier scent that's not sweetened up by any sort of bakery. Now, let's take a quick look at what I was able to do. I did it. Oh, I did. So I'm very excited. This definitely fits in the box, and it's nice and flat. So I just used this bakery bag, and then we have some Southbound shapes, which those are my favorites from them. Now, I do want to talk to you quickly about what non-wax items I included in the box. The first thing is I am going to include a bundle of these bakery bags. One of the reasons I like them is I feel like you can write right on them, so you don't need a separate label, which can be really helpful if you just want to grab a few little pieces out of one of the scents, but you don't want to take the whole thing. Kind of make it easier without disrupting your stash. Now, when it comes to the box itself, because the candle nurse packed it, we had all of this wonderful kind of insulation that was included. So I've replaced that. And I also kept intact her cute little tissue paper that she included. And I added 2 notes. I added a note for Emily, who's going to be the last person who gets the box, who started the box. And then I included a little note for the next person who is going to be receiving the box, which I think is super fun. All in all, I cannot wait to see in our chat how this box changes and transforms as it makes its way back to Emily. This has been so much fun, and I really appreciate you guys joining me as I go on this little adventure. I'd love to hear in the comments below what your thoughts on round robins are.